Look, Davos is dead, right? That's what Fink is recognizing, that it's over. It's time to get out of town, whether it's Dublin or Detroit or Jakarta. They're going to try to keep the circus a movable feast, right? Keep the circus going. But rarely in international politics do you have such a juxtaposition between the old paradigms, right? Between the old regime of Carney and then what Trump illuminated today. So yesterday, Carney's speech was important for three reasons, right? First, he's the point man. He was speaking for Starmer. He's speaking for John Brennan, the Democrats, the EU elite, and the Chinese Communist Party, right? He wants to sustain the old regime, the old paradigm, which profited the CCP and the elite in the US, EU, Canada, and Australia. But those days are over. Secondly, Carney said he's balancing against the US, right, in favor of the CCP, because Carney is really perverted, right? He's more comfortable with communist systems. He's more comfortable with totalitarianism than he is with democracy in Canada, which is telling, Steve. That's true across the board of the EU elite, of Starmer, of Albanese in Australia, and others. And then thirdly, it's important because of what Carney said, his comparison at the outset of his speech of the U.S. with the communist Soviet and the communist Soviet system, right? He quoted Václav Havel's "The Power of the Powerless," where he said, "Power comes when you no longer believe the lie." Well, that's exactly it, right? But not in the way Carney meant it, right? We're no longer believing the lies of globalization. And that's what Trump did today. No more living lies. So Trump has introduced really the new paradigm, the new age, where we're not going to believe the lies of globalization. We're going to believe, and we recognize, as Trump said, strong borders. We're going to have that. We're going to have strong elections, right? That hasn't received much attention, but he really underlined the importance of that. He also described the danger of a bad press, right? Which you could say that's the danger of bad elites and what the harm that they do. And then, very importantly, he talked about the strong ties of Western civilization, right? What unites the West together? He said that prosperity and progress that built the West didn't come from tax codes, right? It came from a shared culture.
Right.
It came from a shared civilization. Right. And the need to defend that civilization. And to do that, Europe has to change. What we witnessed yesterday and today is really a Copernican revolution and a change between what Carney represented, again, as a stalking horse for the EU and the Democrats, and Starmer of the old regime, where globalization was the answer to everything. And if you follow that road, you're not going to end up speaking German or Japanese, but you will end up speaking Chinese, versus what Trump illuminated, right, which was the path of freedom, which is the path of the ability to recognize reality as it is today in international politics, and the need to take some very important steps to secure American security and the security of Western civilization. So if you follow Carney, you're dead. You're in the grip of the CCP, which is where Carney wants you, of course, and the EU. And if you follow Trump, you're in the path of freedom.